guys, if you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. All right, guys, it is Monday, July 1st, and happy Canada Day to Canadian listeners. Now, yesterday I did not do a show. I had to go out of town, and by the time I got back, I was bagged. So I hadn't planned on doing a show today, but I am because I missed yesterday. So this is going to be an important show, and really there is some just jaw-dropping information that I've got to get out. So and I hope you know me well enough that I don't say that it's jaw-dropping unless it really is. So there's no Q post, but we are going to get into some very, very interesting news. So let's get to it. All right. Now, we're going to start off with just a little bit of updating on Snowbola. And this was sent to me. Now, I've just put her first name and I just copied the email as it was. She said, "Dear Mishel, I came across this while researching mysterious holistic doctor deaths. Thought this related to your Snowbola video the other day, especially because it links to a prominent plane crash in 2014, which killed 298 people, among them 100 AIDS researchers in Ukraine. 7 out of 10, right?" Now, that is a reference, of course, to what Q said, that 7 out of 10 plane crashes are intentional. They're caused. We do know that there is a chip or something that can be controlled by an outside force on these airplanes, and so that is what she is alluding to there. It is very brief, but the fact the vid was scrubbed and the claim involving a certain foundation I found worth looking into further. And she says, "I was trained for medical assisting long after college, but read tons of medical articles. Ebola patients are supposed to be put in negative pressure rooms with air filters and PPE suits and masks, etc. It is very sad for the patients as their care has to be so hands off. Just getting in and out of these rooms and in and out of the disposable suits is a huge job and still risky. In Africa, they just have tent units and put them all together outside, but here, there are only a few rooms available in a major hospital, and rural hospitals might not even have them. The CDC recently issued protocol for frontline healthcare workers, triage people to identify, etc., and signage to be placed in prominent locations such as the ER. They tell hospitals to have backup plans like tenting, etc. See CDC website if it interests you. Thanks for entertaining and educating me and my cat. We are both fans of Sammy, so keep up the cat talk." Now, we're going to take a look at this because it's very interesting. And thank you so much, Joanna, for sending this. Really, I know that you all will find it as interesting as I did. So let's just look here. This is the plane crash she is talking about. And it says, "Proof. Snowbola expert killed on MH17, Kanema Bioweapons Lab created new Snowbola strain." Interesting. And the expert just happened to be on that plane. No coincidence there, I doubt. Glenn Thomas, a leading consultant in Geneva, an expert in AIDS, and above all, Snowbola virus, was on board the Boeing 777 Malaysia Airlines cut down on the border between Ukraine and Russia. Glenn Thompson, Era Anch Ill, whatever that his name is there, and his title. And Glenn Thompson was also the coordinator of the media and was involved in the investigations that were bringing light to the issue of trial operations of Snowbola virus in the laboratory of biological, this word right here. Of course, I'm pointing to it with my finger and you can't see that. Duh. Yeah, right here. At the hospital in Kanema. Now that this workshop was closed by order of the government of Sierra Leone, more details emerge about the interest that hidden behind its management, the interests that are hidden behind its management. Bill and Melinda, this word right here, Hanno, okay, I don't understand all these French words, but it's been a long time since I took French. So some of this is translated, it looks like, and some of it's not. But so anyway, Bill and Melinda, you know their last names, have connections with biological, this word right here, labs located in Kenema, the epicenter of the epidemic of Snowbola, developed from the hospital where they're doing clinical trials in humans for the development of its vaccine. And now, following the opening of an informal survey, it appears the name of, this guy right here, through its foundation, is funding the lab of biological, that word right there. Glenn Thompson, I think this was translated, and it's not translated very well, if you ask me. But anyway, it is an extremely interesting article, because isn't it interesting that this person had the information about, the Bill and Melinda, and that they were testing different biological freppins. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous that I have to talk in code, but you know that if I don't, it won't get through. So, so what other channels are left as this information becomes public domain and are spread through social networks, even though the WHO and healthcare institutions refrain from information and act? So this is interesting, because first it's saying that Glenn Thompson was also the coordinator of the media and was involved in the investigations. He was involved in the investigations that were bringing light to the issue of trial operations of the virus. You know the one in the laboratory of biological freppins at the hospital in Kenema. Yeah, so interesting that he later dies in a plane crash. Don't you think that's interesting? I think it's fascinating. I really do. And especially, he's like one of the foremost experts on this. Snowbola. Yeah. So, let's go back here. And there's more. There's always more. And here is the picture of the guy. So, Glenn Thomas, AIDS and Snowbola expert and spokesperson for the WHO, World Health Organization. Snowbola expert Glenn Thompson was among the 298 people who were killed when Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 was shot down and crashed in Ukraine. It is understood he was one. Now listen to this. Listen to this for the gobsmacking part, okay? It is understood he was one of more than 100 researchers who were aboard the flight on their way to an international AIDS conference in Australia. Among the other delegates aboard the plane was Joe P. Lang, a leading AIDS researcher and former president of the International AIDS Society. Now, why do you suppose they'd want to take out 100 researchers and this guy as well, Glenn Thomas? Why do you think they'd want to take out all these experts on AIDS and Snowbola? Gee, guess they probably knew what was coming, didn't they? Yeah, they didn't want these people around to ring the bell on them. So, yeah, it's more than gobsmacking, to tell you the truth. I don't quite know what to say. This is the first time I've heard this information. And thank you so much, Joanna, for sending this, because I had never heard this, and it is something fishy with that. More than fishy. Fishy would be an understatement. So let's go on, because we have more. There's more. there's lots more. This is just the beginning of some very interesting things. All right, now, according to the Top Health Journal, the first case of Snowbola has been reported in Philadelphia. Yeah, so let's look at this. And this was also sent to me by a listener. So thank you very much. I appreciate people sending me things because, you know, I do try to catch as much as I can, but I'm just one person. So you guys are probably catching things that I'm not. And I probably catch things that you don't. And that's how it works. We're all needed and we're all necessary here. We are the news. And if we don't get it out, it's not going to get out. A patient diagnosed with Snowbola has been admitted to the University of Pennsylvania Hospital in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is the first case reported for 2019. Only about last year, a Nebraskan man was also diagnosed with the same condition. The news comes about at a time when America is facing one of the worst measles outbreak of the decade. Or is it measles? Measles never, ever killed the amount of people that it's killing now. Never. And it was always only the very, very young. Not anymore. So, Washington and Oregon have been the main victims throughout the outbreak. It is supposedly known to have affected other states too. The diagnosis of Snowbola should ring a bell in the health authorities' ears. It can possibly be dangerous if no timely precautionary measures are taken. And by the way, in case you're wondering, you know the vaccine that they developed? It's only against the Zaire strain. And apparently, whatever this is, it is not that strain. I don't know, but I'm taking it on very good word. All right, so the disease is also known to be widespread in African countries. In August 2018, about 700 diagnosed cases were reported, killing 400 of them. The patient is undergoing medical treatment, is kept well under supervision. So far, no exact reason has been identified as to how the person got affected in the first place. Scientific examinations are ongoing and results are awaited. Yes, they are. It is only important to note that the patient was initially diagnosed with some other health condition. Only after further thorough examinations did doctors confirm the presence of the Snowbola virus. Now, my question is this. You know, maybe some hospitals are not as thorough as this hospital, like little hospitals, like we have a couple hospitals around here that I will not go to ever because they're awful. I mean, they're awful. And so who's to say that people aren't coming and presenting with some of these things? And you've seen the picture of the different rashes that's caused by different things like scarlet fever and Snowbola, measles, and dengue all cause a rash. And how do we know that they are being diagnosed properly? Because really, in North America, the first thing in a doctor's mind is not Snowbola. So, what is the Snowbola virus? It first originated in the Democratic Republic of Congo in 1976. It's a deadly virus. It's often transmitted by animals and in other cases, humans too. The virus belongs to the filovirus family and can cause complications like hemorrhagic fever and continuous bleeding. Yeah, that's a problem. Excessive bleeding is what eventually causes the death of the person because the snow virus can widely spread from animal to humans. It is pertinent to avoid any contact with animal blood, but it's airborne now. Like it because there's people that are catching it that have had no contact with an infected person. So obviously, or an infective agent or whatever agent, like an animal or whatever, animal blood. We're being lied to. Like every other illness, there are certain risk factors that make a group of people more vulnerable than others. While contact with blood remains one of the biggest contributors, there's also other mediums through which Ebola the snow virus can spread. They comprise of breast milk, feces, saliva, urine, vomit, and also not mentioned in here, but semen. It can last in a man's semen for 2 years. The virus can show up in a man's semen. Now, is he having sex during that time? Most men do not abstain from sex for 2 years, especially married men, I would hope. Anyway, at the same time, it is advised to avoid any exposure to infected objects like needles. If any animal has been diagnosed with the snow virus, it's better to keep a considerable distance. No kidding. Really, this is not helpful at all. The U.S. has been a global tourist hub. It attracts a large number of foreigners from all over the world. Tourist hub, huh? Oh yeah, it's the tourists that are bringing it. Everybody now, collective eye roll. Yeah, the tourists, those nasty tourists. Although the snow virus is much less contagious than its counterpart diseases like malaria, yet it is important to not exclude the possibility it can spread from one person to another in cases where excessive physical contact has been made, or no contact at all, but they don't say that, do they? In another situation, U.S. citizens coming from Africa should, firstly, avoid visiting affected countries. Even if the visit has been made, the health authorities should examine the person before allowing him or her to enter a public place. So I'm not going to read anymore because it's ridiculous, but it does give us the information that there is the first case of the snow virus in Philadelphia. So let's go back. More to get to. Always more. And this is the same one that I linked to up here from Joanna. And let's look at this, shall we? Now, according to this, come on. It's slow tonight for some reason. Oh, yeah. Here it comes. It's not my computer either. My computer is lightning fast. All right. Now, this site is slow, though. It's the Ebola outbreak map and the snow virus, rather, outbreak map. And you can find it at snowbolaoutbreakmap.com without the snow, of course. Now, This is a part of their website that is tips from readers, that they send in things that they are seeing. And that's the best way to get information because, they have readers from everywhere that are watching for this. So these are the snow virus news tips from our readers. And it's saying, do you have inside information? Send us your news tips. And I would encourage anybody that has information, send it to me too, but send it to them. Passengers at a busy airport arriving from Congo, Africa, no health screenings at all at the airport. Lovely. Now, this person says, I arrived from DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, yesterday via Ethiopia. You need to see the scanning of passengers because of the snow virus. Now in Lagos, with influx of guys from DRC, no single check. I mentioned this to one of the SNR, which is probably the security guys on duty. Their responses were shocking, as in no response at all. And so these are a bunch of them arriving from the Congo with no checks whatsoever. None. Now, if you just happen to be on one of these planes, because from there, they're probably being put on other airplanes destined for the United States, or Mexico, and then cross over into the States. So I ask you, is there not a really good chance of somebody innocent just being on an airplane with these guys that have gone through absolutely zero checks? Zero. I didn't want to do this. 0. Yeah, not good. Okay, now this is a Carnival Cruise employee cleaning up passengers' rooms. And look, got a face mask on and everything, and a Carnival cruise ship that was denied entry into both Mexico and Belize over possible snow virus. Carnival Cruise passengers awaited on the arrival of the U.S. Coast Guard helicopter to take blood samples of lab tech blood back for testing for Snowbola. Interesting. No? I'd say it was. And I'm not exactly sure what this is and if I can make it any bigger. First ever baby born at Goal Snowbola Treatment Facility, Sierra Leone, June 19th, 2015. Oh, I hope that baby's okay. I really do. Sad. All right. And let's see what this is. This is the first baby born, and so I would assume that the baby's okay, that the parents were treated, or the baby was treated and is okay. I don't know. These are just listener or reader tips from this website. So anyway, and there are a couple interesting things here, like this, the fact that they are not being screened at all, and the Carnival Cruise information. Haven't heard that before. Maybe it's out there, because I did hear about the Carnival Cruise. I just didn't know that it was possible snow virus involved. All right, let's go on here. I've got so much to get to. And we're going to leave that topic for a bit, but I am continuing to monitor this whole Snowbola thing. And there are a few others that are doing it as well, and they have some really good information. One is, I think it's Jennifer for Veterans, and the other one is Flora Maki. He's not pro-Trump, but he does have some interesting information about this. So there you go. Now, let's go on here, because there is much to get to. Have you heard about the plane crash in Dallas? There was a plane crash, and we will go here. I'm not going to read it all, but I want to point out something interesting. All right, this is from Dallas News. So oh, what a pretty blouse. I'm sorry, I get distracted easily. 10 dead after small plane crashes into Addison Airport hangar. Now, apparently, well, I'll read it. Updated at 9:55 p.m., that was last night, revised to include information about who was on board the plane. All 10 people aboard a small plane died Sunday morning when it crashed into a hangar on takeoff at Addison Airport, authorities say. 2 crew members and 8 passengers were on board the twin-engine Beechcraft Super King Air 350 that was destroyed by flames after it crashed at, pay attention to this, 9:11 a.m. 9:11 a.m. I know you're thinking, so what? Maybe some of you are. Maybe not all of you are. But some of you, I bet, are thinking, so what? Why not 9:10? Why not shortly after 9? Why 9:11 a.m.? Not 9:10:53, not 9:12, 9:11. Interesting. So it after it crashed at 9:11, were they looking at their watches? Oh, it's 9:11. Is that the first thing that you think when you're watching an aircraft? 9/11. That's not my first inclination. Now, I do look at my watch if I hear a gunshot. I always do. Probably left over from working for the police, I guess. But anyway, I just can't imagine people being there and this plane crashes and then they go, yeah, crashed right at 9/11. Now, I don't know. Maybe there's something on board that keeps track of that stuff. I don't know. I just find it very interesting. Very interesting. All right. Now, We don't know a lot about the people on board, he said. The flight had been headed to St. Petersburg, Florida. A Falcon jet and a helicopter were inside the hangar were damaged, Landsberg said. Addison's spokeswoman, Mary Rosenbleeth, confirmed that there were no survivors on the plane. The hangar was not occupied at the time of the crash. The names of the people who died were not released while officials worked to notify their families, she said. Now, have they updated this with... We cannot confirm that there was engine failure at this point, Landsberg said. There are any number of possibilities that could occur, and we're not in a position to speculate on those kinds of things. Jennifer Roddy, the NTSB's lead investigator in the crash, said her team has walked through the scene several times to observe the wreckage. The team will gather information on the flight crew on board, their training and knowledge, as well as, I don't know why my little cursor is just moving around by itself there. Not the first time it's happened today. Anyway, the team will gather information on the flight crew on board, their training and knowledge, as well as details about how the plane was maintained and weather and communications factors that could have played into the crash. But as of yet, there's no word on what caused it. The Federal Aviation Administration also sent investigators to the scene Sunday, FAA spokesman Lynn Lunsford said. So, okay, we've got this crash here. A Chicago area charter company had listed a King Air 350i with that registration number as part of its fleet, offering it as a 9-seat rental starting at $1,800 an hour. However, the aircraft was no longer available on the company's website. And it says Martel, the fire department spokesman, identified the plane's registration number as N534FF, but said the authorities hadn't confirmed who owned the plane and were looking into whether it recently had been sold. A search of the FAA registry did not turn up results for N534FF, but the plane's serial number is also tied to another registration, which the FAA links to an Addison company. The airport was closed for about 45 minutes after the crash before operations resumed. So, odd. The plane is taking off and veers off into a hangar and explodes. So let me just see. I'm just seeing if they have updated the names here. But here is an eyewitness. It says, we are waiting on local officials in Texas to release victim information. He wrote on Facebook, my thoughts are with the families of the deceased. David Snell, who said he was getting ready to fly from the airport, told KDFW TV, Channel 4, he'd watched as the plane took off with what appeared to be reduced power. The plane started to veer to the left and you could tell it couldn't climb, he said, adding that he could tell the plane was going to crash. That was a really horrific thing to see because somebody's family lives were forever changed. It's awful, Snell said. So we've got that. And I know you're probably thinking, well, you're spending an awful lot of time on that. Yes, I am. Now, why am I spending a lot of time on that? Let me show you. Well, first of all, the plane crashed at 9/11. And in my mind, immediately, ding, ding. Then I happened to see that there is a report that Sidney Powell was on that plane and involved in that crash, which there were no survivors. So now, who's Sidney Powell? That is Michael Flynn's attorney, number one, but that's not all. Let's look at this. This is I just took this because I put into Twitter, I did a search for attorney Sidney Powell and this came up and it shows I don't even know if Sidney Powell is a female or a male, to tell you the truth. Anyway, listen again to this entire Mark Levine, Life, Liberty, and Levine show from January 27, 2019 with attorney Sidney Powell. If you think you have a sense about what's behind the special counsel probe, this will affirm your worst nightmares. So, and down here, this shows must read riveting book by criminal defense lawyer, federal prosecutor extraordinaire Sidney Powell's book came out long before taking on General Mike Flynn's new attorney. Yeah, so not only is he or she General Mike Flynn's new attorney, I would assume it's a male, but I can't really assume that, to tell you the truth. He's written a book. He was a former federal prosecutor extraordinaire. And the book is called Licensed to Lie. Exposing corruption in the Department of Justice is a disturbing, enlightening, and superbly presented account of one of the most dramatic and chilling examples of injustice in American judicial history. So that's who he or she is. I wish I could find out if it's a Sidney Powell. I should know this, but I don't. Sydney. Yeah, this is why I don't. Sidney Powell, license to kill. All right. Yes, that's what I meant. Yeah, it's a woman. So there you go. Solved that. I was wrong. I've been wrong before. All right, but at least I corrected it. Okay, so, here's this person that's written this book exposing the deep state, exposing the corruption in the DOJ, and who is representing General Mike Flynn. I think that there might be a reason, if in fact this is true. This is just a report, okay? This is a report, and I don't know. I cannot confirm it anywhere I've tried. But if this is true, then yeah, that crash was no mistake, and it was sending a message because it crashed at 9/11, not 9:10, not 9:12, 9/11, not a few minutes after 9/11. So you can let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you have heard anything, please let me know in the comments, because I do comb through those. Sometimes I don't see every single comment. And if not, if you do put something there that's important and I don't respond to it or haven't seen it, and you can always tell because I try to put a like and a little heart button, or like a thumbs up button and the heart button on the ones that I see, unless it's really something I don't understand, and then I don't put a heart one if I don't understand the comment. And sometimes I don't, because sometimes you're sitting there and you're watching something and you comment on it, and I'll think, what was that referring to exactly? But I've gone past it in my mind, and I'm thinking, what did I say? What are they responding to? So anyway, let's go on here. Now, again, this is very important. Like I told you, this show, this is very important stuff, this show. It really is. I really believe that everything here is very important. So please like, share, subscribe, pass this on. If you think that somebody will be receptive to this, pass it on. If not, then don't, because it'll make them hate you more. All right, let's look at this. And please, please, please get this out. If you're on Twitter, if you're on Facebook, whatever social media you're on, get this out. Dire warning: FBI warns of domestic terror threat during July 4th holiday. Okay, now this specific threat was against DC. There's going to be a massive July 4th celebration there, and Antifa is warning that they are going to be carrying out acid attacks, which are horrendous. They leave people blind, mutilated. But apparently, from what I understand, baking soda protects from this. I guess if you put it on right after the acid attack, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, and I don't play one on TV, but that's what I've heard. Now, the Department of Homeland Security issued a stark warning over the weekend saying domestic terrorists could be plotting an attack during the 4th of July holiday. And might I add that just because they're saying, oh, we're going to attack DC, doesn't mean that they are, or that they're not trying to psych everyone out and attack somewhere else. So please, if you are going to any gathering of people, fireworks, any celebrations on the 4th of July, unless it's family and friends, please pay attention to your surroundings. And if you see something, say something. Better safe. You're better off safe. And yeah, unfortunately, you do have to be a little bit paranoid these days and look around you to see who's there. Really. So federal authorities are warning that white supremacists and other political radicals could look to attack Independence Day revelers on July 4th, noting in a bulletin to law enforcement around the country that domestic terrorists have attacked perceived oppressors, opponents, or enemies engaged in outdoor First Amendment protected rallies or protests during past summers, reports ABC News. The warning came in a joint intelligence bulletin issued by the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, and National Counterterrorism Center, urging law enforcement personnel to remain vigilant for suspicious activity. The FBI, DHS, and NCTC remain concerned that they could target upcoming Independence Day celebrations, gatherings, or parades, though we are unaware of any current plots specifically targeting such events, stated the bulletin obtained by ABC News. We note that attacks can occur with little to no warning because of the frequently lower levels of security around civilian targets, challenges in securing large crowds, and calls for attacks against soft targets. The warning comes hours after the Pentagon confirmed American airstrikes killed at least 8 al-Qaeda terrorists in Syria. The Pentagon confirmed Monday a lethal airstrike against an al-Qaeda terror training facility in Syria, killing multiple targets who were actively plotting attacks against American citizens outside of the Middle East. A U.S. military airstrike Sunday struck an al-Qaeda leadership and training facility in northern Syria, where militants were plotting external attacks against American citizens, reports Fox News. The British-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, an opposition-linked war monitor, said Monday the strike killed 8 members of the al-Qaeda-linked Horus al-Din. The last known strike was launched in mid-March 2017 in northwest Syria, Aleppo province, killing dozens of fighters days before the U.S. military launched cruise missiles targeting an airfield in Syria linked to a chemical weapons attack the Trump administration blamed on Syria President Bashar al-Assad. The strike comes days after U.S. officials warned of an ongoing ISIS plot to smuggle terrorists into the United States through the southern border. A chilling confession from a captured ISIS fighter has shed light on how the terrorist group intended to exploit the vulnerabilities of the U.S. border with Mexico, using English speakers and Westerners to take advantage of smuggling routes and target financial institutions. Seized ISIS fighter Abu Henrique, a Canadian citizen with dual citizenship with Trinidad last month, said that he was sought out by the violent insurgency's leadership to attack the U.S. from a route starting in Central America, according to a study by the International Center for the Study of Violent Extremism and published in Homeland Security Today. ISIS has organized plots in Europe with returnees, so it seems entirely plausible that they wanted to send guys out to attack. The issue that makes a North American attack harder is the travel is more difficult from Syria, said Anne Speckard, who conducted the study. So the idea that they would instead use people who are not known to their own governments as having joined ISIS might make it possible for them to board airplanes. Now, that's all well and good, and it could be ISIS related, but my understanding is that Antifa has already threatened to carry out acid attacks. So we'll see, but I'm telling you, that's scary. That's scary because I don't even know how you defend yourself against that. It's kind of like that whole milkshake thing, except, they just walk up and they toss it at you and it's done. And if you've ever seen the victims of acid attacks, Google it and look through the images. It's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. I don't know how any human being could do that to another. I don't get it. But we know that Antifa is becoming increasingly violent. So just be on the lookout. I felt absolutely compelled to warn you guys. So let's go back here. Now, some of this I'm going to leave. I may come back later. I'm going to be leaving to go to fireworks soon, and I may come back afterwards and do another program because I've got a lot of stuff which I'm not going to get to, but I'm trying to get to the most important stuff. Now, this is very interesting too, and it comes from the Virginia Hazmat Association. Maryland, breaking, Bel Air, Harford County, Hazmat, Upper Chesapeake Hospital, patient exposed to nerve agent on Aberdeen Proving Ground. Fire department and Hazmat requested to hospital for additional decontamination. Hospital now on total divert. Now, I didn't know what they meant by Aberdeen Proving Ground, so I Googled that, and Aberdeen Proving Ground, for those of you who may not know, maybe I'm the only one that doesn't know, is a United States Army facility located adjacent to Aberdeen, Maryland. Part of the facility is a census-designated place, which has a population of 3,116 at the 2000 census and 2,093 at the 2010 census. So it's a small place, but it is a United States Army facility. And they have been exposed to sarin, but that's not the odd part to me. Well, it is odd. It's very odd. But the strange thing is that, let's look at this. There are 2 employees from Facebook in Menlo Park, California, who've also been exposed to sarin, or possibly exposed to sarin. Now, let me see here. The FBI and National Guard have been called in to assist after a mail handling center was evacuated in Menlo Park following reports of 2 people who were possibly exposed to sarin. Crews with the Menlo Park Fire Department are at the warehouse owned by Facebook on Hamilton Court near Bayfront Expressway, according to Facebook spokesperson Anthony Harrison. 4 buildings were evacuated after a package delivered to one of their mailrooms at 11 a.m. was deemed suspicious. Crews are at the scene of a hazmat call at a Facebook warehouse facility on Hamilton Avenue in Menlo Park. FBI and National Guard have been called in to assist. 2 employees were tested for possible chemical exposure, but have shown no symptoms per fire marshal. So this is a little bit interesting, if you ask me. And I just wonder, if it does turn out to be sarin, I wonder who will be blamed for it. Some Trump supporter? I mean, Antifa's ticked off because they've been arrested for beating up that journalist. I don't know. Is this a response to that? Not sure. But it's a possibility. So, yeah, and they don't know. It says sarin is a man-made nerve agent. The clear, colorless, and tasteless liquid has no odor in its pure form, but it can evaporate into a gas and spread into the environment. Exposure to large doses may result in paralysis and respiratory failure. Sarin was used in 2 terror attacks in Japan in 1994 and 1995, the latter of which killed 13 people when the gas was released in the Tokyo subway system. So that's what we're dealing with here. We've got reports from the area, what was it called? I've lost it already in my mind. Upper Chesapeake Hospital they were taken to, but they were, where were they from again? Aberdeen Proving Ground, United States Army facility near Maryland. So yeah, this is a little bit odd to me that you've got 2 reports of this in one day. Spread out that much. Something's up. So I wanted to be sure that you knew about that. Now, let's go down here and see what else I have that is absolutely critical to get out. All right. And this is about the plane crash. So we've already covered that. All right, this is the other thing I wanted to get to in this video. Kim Jong-un, President Trump has just walked across the demarcation line that has made him the first U.S. president to visit our country. Actually, just looking at this action, this is an expression of his willingness to eliminate all the unfortunate past and open a new future. Now, Donald Trump is the only sitting president that has ever been to North Korea. Ever. Now, there's a picture of, oh gosh, Obama. I wanted to call him Light in the Loafers, which he is. But anyway, nonetheless, there's a picture of him with his dainty little sunglasses there, or what are they called? Binoculars there on the demilitarized zone on the South Korean side with his little binoculars there looking, over. And here you've got a picture of Donald Trump boldly going where no man has gone before. No American man. Well, no American president, that's for sure. Rodney, what's that guy? The basketball player, he's been there, but no sitting president has ever been there. And I think that this is absolutely incredible. It's history making, and it blows my mind. It really blows my mind. This guy is fearless, absolutely fearless. And and by the way, he took 17 steps into North Korea. Or when he crossed over, he took 17 steps. Yes, he did. Yep. So, I like this too, by Candace Owens. And I'm telling you, every day I get more impressed by this young lady. And I really hope that she runs for office, because we need people like her. She's bright. She is so well-spoken. She handles herself impeccably and without getting flustered. Anyway, Candace Owens, instead of a sanctuary cities for illegals, why doesn't California focus on creating sanctuary schools for the 75% of black boys who can't pass a basic literacy exam? Oh, I don't know. They don't want black people reading? Can't turn us into Democrat voting mules if we're educated. That's true. She makes a good point. All right. Now, let's look at this. Donald Trump. It is very hard and expensive to live in New York. Governor Andrew Cuomo uses his attorney general as a bludgeoning tool for his own purposes. They sue on everything, always in search of a crime. I even got sued on a foundation which took zero rent and expenses and gave away more money than it had. Going on for years, originally brought by crooked Hillary campaign chair AG Eric Schneiderman until forced to resign for abuse against women. They never even looked at the disgusting Clinton Foundation. Now Cuomo's AG is harassing all of my... Oh, I didn't put the last tweet there. Sorry, but his family, basically. And it's true. I don't know. He's got to be the cleanest person ever, Trump, because you've got so many people looking into... if they could even fabricate something and make it stick, they would. And they have, but it didn't stick because there's nothing there. All right, now, this is important too. Speaker Nancy Pelosi has demonstrated a record of abusing the perks of office, which gave her access to military luxury travel paid for by the taxpayers. So signed Judicial Watch's petition to help expose the full truth of this congressional abuse of taxpayer dollars. Now, It says, help stop Nancy Pelosi's travel abuse. Sign the petition to help Judicial Watch expose the full truth about Nancy Pelosi's out-of-control travel abuse. So I'm going to leave the link to this petition, and I would encourage you, if you feel the same way as I do, and if you don't, I don't know, understand, I doubt you would be listening to this if you were approving of Nancy Pelosi. I just really doubt that, unless there's something really wrong with you. I'm going to leave the link to that. And it also goes into, and it asks, you don't have to, but after you sign the petition, it will ask if you want to donate anything to Judicial Watch. And I think the lowest amount they give is $10. But I did donate, and I'm not saying that you guys have to at all. That is up to your conscience, and you put your money where you feel it's going to do the best. It does give you an option, because it did it through my PayPal, and you can, whatever you tick off, it's going to say what amount when you get to PayPal. So, even though 10 is the most, or the least rather, you could give 5, you could give 1, and I'm sure it all goes to a good cause. I think they do really, really good work. And I'm not trying to encourage you to, well, I am, if you can. There's a lot, I'm sensitive to that because I realize a lot of my listeners are on fixed incomes, either at disability or they're retired. And I realize that they have to be cautious. They have to be careful where they place their money. And, I understand that totally, but I am going to put that link in the description for any of you that want to go over and sign that, because I know that all of you are against the excessive spending, like $1,000 a week bar tab. Like, give me a break. Why are we paying for that? Why are the taxpayers paying for that? So anyway, I'm going to leave for that. And I can't remember what this is. Whatever it is, it needs to be translated. I can't remember. I think somebody sent this to me. Dang. I'm going to have to translate that before, I don't know. I can't remember now what it is. And, oh, I know what this is now. Yeah, they are going to be going over a city. And what city is it? Yeah, they're going to fly over and, sprinkle holy water out of the helicopter to get rid of the devil in that city. I guess it's whatever floats your boat, but I'm not thinking it's going to do any good, really, because first of all, people have free will, and if they have the will and the desire to follow in the footsteps of Satan himself, then they will. We all have free will. So anyway, let's go back here because I just want to make sure that I've got everything that is the most important to get to you. Oh, here is this by C3 too. How do you know Trump is the cleanest politician in D.C.? Andrew Weissman, with unlimited money, full power of the U.S. government, and the help of foreign intel agencies, found nothing. Trump was so clean, Weissman couldn't even compose a crime that would work. Thank God Trump isn't a politician. And of course, for those of you who may not know, Andrew Weissman was the head of the criminal fraud division of the DOJ and was appointed to the special counsel team by Robert Mueller. Now, let's look at this. This is important as well to get out. Comey's daughter on team working to take down Trump. Wow, isn't that interesting? A bombshell report reveals that James Comey's daughter, Maureen, is working on the Southern District of New York team that is trying to take down President Trump. Rush Limbaugh pointed out that former U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Preet Bharara, advised opponents of President Donald Trump Tuesday not to put their hope into being delivered from him by the SDNY. Southern District of New York. Bahara appeared on Deadline, White House, and cautioned the resistance to focus on defeating Trump in the 2020 election. That's not even a well-composed sentence, and I don't know what they're talking about. Many progressives were already disappointed last month that the Mueller report was a bomb. I don't think it was a bomb, really. Then they turned their attention to the Southern District of New York, and now the guy that ran the joint is telling them to stop looking there, that we're not going to be able to get rid of Trump from the Southern District of New York. He said, I also want to caution people, maybe not everyone will love hearing this. Lots of people don't like the president, think he should not be president, and they want to be delivered from him, and I get that. And I may be one of those people also. It doesn't mean that you're going to be delivered from that in some place other than the ballot box. It doesn't mean that you're going to be delivered from that by Bob Mueller, as good as he is, because his job was not to get the president. Oh, really? That's news to me. Really? The hell it wasn't. And it still is. He went on and said, the Southern District's job, the place I used to lead, is not to get the president. Maybe they'll find evidence of a crime. Maybe they'll think they have something to say in a courtroom, whether it's about the hush money payments or something else, the Trump Organization, or something else, or the Trump Organization. But if people don't like the direction of the country and they think they're moving away from the ideals of the country, well, this is not written well, and they think we're moving away from the ideals of the country should be about, what the country should be about, whether it's on immigration or decency or rule of law, then they should set their sights on the ballot box and not the Southern District of New York. Meanwhile, Maureen's father, James Comey, is appearing on CNN, where he's pushing the debunked Russia conspiracy theories. Well, of course he is, because that's all he has to cling to. The Southern District of New York, which in effect is replacing the failed Robert Mueller special counsel Russia probe, will have much more leeway in the die-hard agenda to bring down President Trump. Prosecutors in Manhattan's Southern District aren't saddled with a limited mandate like special counsel Robert Mueller and his Russia probe. They can follow the trail wherever it leads. And where does it lead? Nowhere. Harvard Law School professor emeritus Alan Dershowitz, whose legal analysis defending Trump has been praised by the president, said the office's independence is one of the reasons the Manhattan investigations provide Trump with much more to worry about than the Mueller probe. New York has always had a degree of independence, and that's a reality, Dershowitz said, and I think that the U.S. attorneys can take advantage of that. They still have to run their indictments up through the hierarchy and get approval, he added. No member of the Trump family is going to be prosecuted without it going through to the Justice Department. With a staff of about 220 assistant U.S. attorneys, Southern District of New York is one of the largest in the country. The United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York is the chief federal law enforcement officer in 8 New York counties: New York, Manhattan, Bronx, Westchester, Putnam, Rockland, Orange, Dutchess, and Sullivan. Jeffrey Berman currently serves as the United States Attorney since replacing acting attorney June Kim on January 5th, 2018, and being indefinitely appointed on April 25th. Preet Bharara was the district's previous U.S. attorney, having been appointed under President Barack Obama in 2009. Bharara served until March 11th, 2017, when he was fired by President Donald Trump shortly after refusing to resign upon request. The U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York has jurisdiction over all cases prosecuted by the U.S. Attorney. So where is this about? Okay. From the True Life is Stranger Than Fiction department, James Comey's 30-year-old daughter, Maureen Comey, is on the Southern District of New York posse that will carry on investigating the Trump-Russia conspiracy. Don't you think that's a conflict of interest? Not to these people. Like her father, who served as a U.S. attorney for Southern District, New York from January 7th, 2002 to December 15th, 2003, Maureen Comey has been an assistant U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York office since 2015. Maureen Comey went to William and Mary School, where she earned a bachelor's degree in history and music and attended Harvard Law School. Her position at the SDNY office may have gone ignored had not the Daily Caller raked over the coals of the ex-FBI director's career as a hedge fund high roller, living high on the hog in an April 1st story. James Comey was a hedge fund high roller when he lived with his family in the Tony enclave of Westport, Connecticut, until he was tapped to run the FBI in 2013, the Daily Mail reported. Comey bought the estate on more than 3 acres, not far from where Martha Stewart used to live, for $3 million. Just over $3 million in August 2010, but now he's had to reduce the price 4 times down to $2.5 million, and he still doesn't have a buyer for the palatial estate. It's a 7-bedroom, 9-bath, 7,157 square foot gated home in one of Connecticut's ritziest Gold Coast towns. Residents of the neighborhood over the years include such powerful money Democrat neighbors as Stewart and Harvey Weinstein. Comey, who has a net worth of $11 million, lived like a king during the 6 years he spent at the Connecticut home. All right, so let's come down here. The Daily Mail reminds us that it was Comey who prosecuted and sent Stewart to prison in 2004 for insider stock trading. Was it seeing the street creds of Stewart's home when he was prosecuting her that made him want to live in the same Tony neighborhood? Another more recent neighbor of Comey was the businessman and philanthropist Rajat Gupta, who was convicted in 2012 on insider trading. James Comey, who left off failed presidential candidate Hillary Clinton on the infamous email server scandal, played a major role in Robert Mueller's special counsel, which failed to table any evidence that President Trump colluded with Russia to keep Clinton from winning the 2016 presidency. Comey was hot on the trail to destroy Trump's presidency long before Trump fired him as FBI director. Now it's Comey's daughter, Maureen's turn over at the all-powerful SDNY. For the Comey family, bringing down President Trump seems to be generational. Unbelievable. And yet, it's so believable. All right, let me see if there's anything else that we need to get to. Oh yeah, I like this. Kim Jong-un had more American flags displayed during Trump's visit than the liberal Democrats displayed during their debates. In fact, the only American flag that was visible during the debates was an upside-down one, hidden within the logo for the debate, of course, but upside down nonetheless. Yeah. So Kim Jong-un is more American, more patriotic towards our country than, say, any of the Democrats. That should surprise no one. Oh, and then Joe Biden. Joe Biden, Scratch and Shift Joe, said that his first priority, I'm not going to go out to the Breitbart.com news article, but that's where I got it. Joe Biden, they asked him what his first priority was as president. If he became president, what's his first priority? And he said it would be to defeat Trump. Well, if he got to be president, wouldn't Trump already be defeated? That's his first priority as president? What? And how long has he been in government? 30 years or something like that? If he hasn't accomplished it now, he's not gonna accomplish it. You know, why hasn't he been working for America all this time? Oh, I'm sure he'd say he was, you know. He's been busy sniffing girls' heads and, you know, feeling up little girls. Well, that's what he's been doing. Okay, well, I'm gonna leave it there for now. There's more. There's always more. But for now, that's going to have to do. It is the stuff that I felt like I absolutely positively had to get out in this broadcast. So that's it for now. And I'm going to sign off for the evening and go watch my fireworks. It's starting to get dark out there a little bit. Well, the sun's going down rapidly. So, yeah. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Hope you guys have a great evening. Stay safe, stay well, see something, say something, really, and pay attention to your surroundings on July 4th. I'm going to be back with you before then, obviously. I'll be back tomorrow and Wednesday. Thursday, my report will be late, but I do plan on doing a report on July 4th. It'll be late because I've got to take my stepfather to an out-of-town medical appointment, but I will be back and I will do a report, even though it's maybe late, better late than never. So anyway, keep seeking truth because you know it. Deception bites. Thanks, guys, for listening. I really appreciate it. Good night.